I bought a house when I was 26 and fell immediately into poverty.
Many millennials regret buying homes.
When did we stop building real houses and start building houses made out of glue and bark chips and list them for $1 million?
Are you dreaming of buying a home? Or maybe regretting the one you already purchased? You're not alone. Today we're diving into the reality of modern homeownership, where 80-year-old pipes burst the day after closing, where new construction is made of what one creator calls glue and bark chips, and where mortgage approvals and affordability are two entirely different things. The housing market has become a minefield for millennials and younger generations. From bank approvals for loans people can barely afford, to maintenance costs that drain savings accounts overnight, to new construction with shocking quality issues despite price tags approaching $1 million. We'll hear from real homeowners whose dreams quickly turned into financial nightmares, explore why the advice to buy now before prices go up might be setting people up for failure, and look at why some are questioning if renting forever might actually be the smarter financial move. So before you sign those closing papers or beat yourself up for not owning yet, let's take an honest look at the modern housing crisis that's affecting not just America, but Australia, Canada, and beyond.
I bought a house when I was 26 and fell immediately into poverty. Okay, when I lived with my parents, I was living my best luxury lifestyle. I went to South Korea, bought a 2000 plane ticket, didn't even blink twice. I went shopping, luxury goods, all that. Was traveling, was just, I was living it up. I felt rich. I had no bills. And I had a full-time 9-to-5 job. I was working as a nurse. Okay? I was killing it. I bought my own house. That first mortgage payment came in and I was like, oh, this is a situation. But at first you think you can handle it, right? Like, what's a couple thou? What's a couple thou? I got it. But then the pipes in my 80-year-old home broke immediately as soon as I bought the house. Wiped out my savings. Then another pipe in a different area of the house broke. Okay, I'm struggling. Okay, I need help. Then my neighbor's pipe, it was a twin house, her pipe broke. And she didn't believe that her pipe broke, but her pipe broke on my side of the house. So all of that water that was coming down was spraying into my home. And then my water heater broke. When I tell y'all, I went from living in the lap of luxury to destitute immediately. Now, don't get me to fooling y'all, because it was worth it in the long run, because that house is now worth like 2 times what it was worth then. So I'm actually doing pretty good. But at the time, when I tell you I was struggling, I had to go to my parents every other day for dinner because your girl could not feed herself.
Many millennials regret buying homes. This is why it's important for you to run your numbers so that you don't end up house poor. Let me show you what I mean. What you can qualify for and what you can comfortably afford is sometimes two different things. So if you make $100,000, the typical debt to income ratio a lender is going to use when qualifying you is about 40%. That gives you $40,000 divided by 12 months, gives you a monthly allowance of $3,333 if you have no debt. So you could buy probably around a $400,000 house. Your payment would be around $3,300 and you would just qualify and you'd be celebrating. But the next step you must take with your family is, what is your take-home pay? If you make $100,000, your take-home pay is around what? $6,200? If your house payment without utilities or anything is $3,300, that is 53% of your net pay. This is where you're creeping into the house poor area and you don't want to be there. But I understand your frustration because you're like, hey, I make $100,000. How can I find anything for under $400,000? Because back in the day, the financially responsible thing to do was to have your house payment be about 30% of your net. But if that were true for someone making $100K today, they would have to buy a $240,000 home, which doesn't really exist in most places. So I understand your frustration, but when you sit down with your lender, also sit down with your family, talk with your lender, and look at your net pay so that you don't end up house poor and you can actually enjoy the home you're.
I regret buying a house. I regret it a lot. If I could go back to January 2022, I would tell that girl, do not. Just find another apartment to move into, because doing all this shit that I have to do for this house and all the unexpected costs, high dollar unexpected costs that I keep running into, to be handling it by myself, is ass. So to all you young women who want to go out and buy a home, I encourage you to really, really think about it. Talk to some people and really see the ins and outs. I mean, it always sounds good. Oh yeah, your mortgage is only going to be $1,000 until they reevaluate your property taxes. And that bitch goes up $200, It's trash. 85 degrees, your AC is going to go out. You don't want to know how much that costs. It's trash.
I'm honestly kind of shocked. When did we stop building real houses and start building houses made out of glue and bark chips and list them for $1 million? So this is what I'm talking about right here. $1 million for a bunch of junk OSB plywood and bent 2x4s, plastic plumbing, all thrown together by the cheapest possible bids they can probably get. And you don't even get any land for your $1 million. Look how tiny this lot is. This right here is the new type of house they're building in the suburbs of Portland, and it costs $975,000. Literally everybody I know wants more affordable housing, but all we get are these monstrosities that are so incredibly expensive. And an HOA that costs $100 a month and doesn't let you do anything. And that's all they're building, all around me. They opened up all these acres of old farmland, and all they're building are these ginormous houses. Even Zillow estimates the payment on this place to be over $6,000 a month. And unfortunately, this is the future we're looking at, where no normal working class person will be able to own a home. We're talking about something like 5 or 6 of the average salary around here in order to purchase this house. Now make that make sense.
It's a brand new house. You don't need your home inspected. Shout out to Preston Kincaid and the Mole Lumber. Looks like this builder bought wood from the same place. This stringer is cracked from top to bottom, all the way down. Look at that, it goes through and through. That's why you need a brand new house inspected. Okay, let's check out the roof. What? I didn't even make it up on the roof yet. Again, pressure should be below 80. Missing the anti-siphon device. Check out these gutters. You think that's gonna catch the water? Looks like the water is just gonna dump right over it. And then on this side, you can see our downspout right here, but the gutters are sloping that way and also kind of sagging. No window screens. Did a bang up job with the caulking. Another window. Well, guess they don't want me to take the panel cover off. That's locked, which means I can't get to that screw to remove this cover to look inside for safety issues. Okay, here we go. Is the air filter dirty? Oh yeah. Ooh. Top of the shower should be sealed. Don't want mold back there. That is supposed to go, yeah. Where's the vent?
I am this close to just thinking maybe it is better to rent for the rest of my life than to actually own property. Which sounds sad to say, but hear me out. It has always been my dream to purchase my own home, which is the whole reason I even started working 2 jobs for the last 5 years, hustling my ass off because I want to purchase my home so bad. I feel like a part of me is starting to realize there's so many cons to owning your own home. For example, number 1, if I were to buy it in California, I would have to have a 30-year loan. And I don't want to spend the next 30 years of my life paying off my home. That means I'm never able to just up and leave because now my home is here, my life is here. If anything goes wrong as a homeowner, I have to fix it, which could be so expensive. Roof, plumbing, maintenance, all of that, right? That's something I would be responsible for. If I move out of state though, which by the way, I can more than enough afford to pay off the home within like 5 years, then I had to pick up my whole life here, move it somewhere else, hopefully find a job over there. Even if I move it there, regardless, I can't just leave. Now my home is there. Versus if you rent, Like, if you rent an apartment, if anything goes wrong, you're not responsible. Also, you can up and leave whenever you want. You're not restricted. You can break the lease and you can move to another state if you please to. I don't know. What do you guys think?
When I tell people that I made $85,000 when I was 22, and then at 25 is when I made my first six-figure salary, a lot of people ask, why didn't you buy a house? You should buy a house. The market's going to go this, the market's going to do that. You should buy a house. The reason why I have never bought a house is because it doesn't suit me. A lot of people buy houses because they think it's like an escape plan and that's how you're going to get rich, and especially Australians. Now, when I speak to Australians, a lot of them think buying a house is like the end goal, be all, end all. I have a completely different plan, and on top of that, I just don't want to be house broke. If you've ever heard what house broke is, it's when your mortgage takes up more than 30% of your payslip. If I was going to buy a house at 85, 100% I was going to pay more than 30% of my weekly paycheck on a mortgage. That would make me house broke. I don't want to do that. When you're buying a house, I need you to think, do I want to buy a house because it's what everyone's told me to do? Or do I want to buy a house because this is something that suits me, especially me as well? I didn't want to live in Australia. Buying a house in Australia wouldn't have made sense because there's no way that I'd be able to manage it from overseas. It just wasn't feasible. It wasn't a right option for me. So before you buy a house, really, really think.
What strikes me most about this housing situation is how the dream of homeownership has become a double-edged sword for so many people. On one hand, we're told it's the cornerstone of building wealth and security. On the other, we're facing inflated prices, questionable construction quality, and expenses that leave even six-figure earners struggling to make ends meet. Maybe the real issue isn't whether to buy or rent. It's the system that's created this impossible situation in the first place. When new construction costs $1 million but is built poorly, when older homes require $50,000 in sudden repairs, and when mortgage approvals push people to their financial limits, something fundamental is broken. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Are you currently renting, or do you own? If you bought a home recently, has it been worth it, or do you have regrets? And if you're still debating whether to buy, what factors are most important in your decision? Let me know your thoughts below.